Hi, good morning. Hope you are able to see the screen and you are able to hear my voice clearly, right? Okay, we will start in 2 minutes. Okay, so we'll start. I'll close this. So we are started discussing on VPC. Okay, so today also we are going to discuss the same with other scenarios. Let me just open AWS console. I'll go to Ogio. So I'm going for VPC. So since I deleted yesterday, so I'm going to create quickly and see the third scenario and fourth scenario. So let us first create a VPC. Create VPC, say data VPC, and I'm going with 10.0.0.0/16. So let us open the Excel sheet. So the parent network is 10.0.0.0/16 and VLAN 1. So we will leave the first VLAN because first VLAN will be 10.0.0.0/24. So we will reserve this for some other purpose. So we are starting with 1.0, 10.0.1.0/24. We will keep it as this as a public. 10.0.2.0/24. So, and this is going to be 10.0.1.12, 10.0.1.254, 10.0.2.0, 2.1 to 10.0.2.254, right? So we will quickly create some of the people asked about VPC pairing, right? So yes, I will cover VPC pairing with step-by-step hands-on, and we will also test from one VPC to another VPC using private IP address, not through public address, right? Because wherever you go, any AWS cloud project, pairing is mandatory these days to secure most of your internal environment. But before that, we will see all these 4 scenarios in VPC. Then we will go for VPC pairing so that you will be very clear. Okay, so this is VLAN 2. You can call it as subnet 1, subnet 2 also. we will make this as a public purpose. We will make this as a private. So I'm going to do the same here. Come down, say create VPC. So VPC got created. Now we need to create two subnets. One is public subnet, another one is private subnet. Say create subnet. Which VPC? Our data VPC newly created 10.0.0/16, and here I'm going to say public subnet. Come down. What is the availability zone? We will go with the first availability zone associating with 10.0.1.0/24. So 224 IP address we can have in this subnet, and we also add another subnet, say private subnet. Actually 254, it will go with one is gateway, one is broadcast. So we will select 10.0.2.0/24 and go and create subnet. So okay, we have to map it with one availability zone. So create subnet. So both subnet got getting created. So once created, quickly we will go with the routing table. As we discussed, there will be one empty routing tables. So either you can name public and use it for public purpose, and or you can name it private and use it for private purpose. So I'm going to use it, name it as a public route. So I will use it for my public purpose. I will create a new router table, say private route, and select data VPC, create it. So, and then you go to internet gateway, because this is how again and again you repeat, delete, repeat, delete. So you will not forget the hands-on. One VPC can be explained to across all availability zone. Yeah, basically in one VPC you can create n number of subnets. So each subnet you associate with one of the availability zone, right? So I'm going for internet gateway, create internet gateway. I'm going for say data internet gateway, create it. So once it's created, attach it to some VPC. So here we have data VPC, say attach it. So only the pending is go to routing table, say public route, Subnet Association. Since it's a public name, so better, that is why you better name it. So public, so I'm associating public, so because you should not get confused. And private, go to subnet, edit subnet, and say private, save it. And public route, again go to routes and say add route 0, and all the traffic I am pointing to internet gateway. But during VPC pairing, I will explain how this can be applied exactly. So you will get more visibility when we go with VPC pairing, because instead of 0.0, you need to add specific network route, right? So as of now, we will go with this, but I will explain during the VPC pairing, internet gateway. So in VPC, everything is fine. Now go back Ogio EC2. Where is Ogio? Okay, this is Oregon. This is also Oregon region. So where is Ogio EC2? Yes, this is the one. Good morning, Ashish. So go to instance, because any project you need to understand these 4 scenarios and VPC pairing and couple of areas in VPC. That is more than enough, because any project you have to go with the dedicated VPC. Definitely no one will recommend to go with the default VPCs. So launch instance. So the same, what we are going to do is, we are going to create a one public jump server, one natting server. Both are in the public VLAN, public subnet, public VLAN, and we are going to create a one more server. Maybe you can call it as a web server or application server. Basically, it's an internal server. Okay, so it's going to be in private subnet. So users are sitting here. So users will come to jump server, and from jump server it will go here. So from here all internet will go here. So either go via server, or we also seen NAT gateway. This is a normally preferred. So all you can reroute to here. So now today we are going to see another third scenario and fourth scenario. We will quickly create it first. Amazon Linux. Because we are not opening, right? Because private subnet, the security group, we clearly accessing the rule, right? So no, during the VPC pairing, you can specifically add one root, right? So then you will connect the dots. So go to next, and we are selecting our own VPC, and we are selecting data public, and we haven't enabled. So now you enable it, or else you go to VPC, go to subnets, select public subnet, right click, modify, assign. Because the same question one of the person asked in a different way yesterday, one-on-one. So I will explain step by step VPC pairing also. So right click and say modify auto assign. If you do this, then here automatically enable the moment you choose public subnet, but it's okay. So add storage. So since it's our own learning, go with the normal disk and security group. So you create a new security group, say public security group. The same I can put it in the description to avoid any confusion. So SSH and ICMP and sources anywhere, but you need to specify in real-time projects. You need to specify from where you are coming, your own network, right? And what are all other ports you want to open it, review, launch. So this is the public subnet, launch it. So I have this key already, or else you can create a new key. So we are launching it. So go to instance. Better you name it. So we are going to name this as a public jump server. Public jump server. So you launch one more another machine. So this time you select the same image. This time you select the same instance type, T2 micro. T2 micro, next. And you can select your own VPC and select private subnet, because it is going to be an internal server. Add storage, go with the normal disk, add tags, configure security group. This time you create with private security group, the same, put it in the description to avoid. So all traffic, you better choose all traffic, but you can restrict 10.0.2, sorry, 1. What is a public subnet? 1.0/24. All traffic should come in this way. So review launch. Next, say launch. The same security key, launch instance. So this is going to be our private application server, but we haven't installed any application, but we are going to assume, because it doesn't have any public IP. It's a private application server from 10.0.2, right? That network. So by seeing this, we will understand. Now you create one more machine, that is the NAT server. Select. So next, and say data VPC, and this time public subnet, because NAT server is going to be in public subnet. So enable it. If you don't want to do a manual one, as I shown, go to VPC, go to public subnet, right click, modify auto assign, and enable it. So every time you no need to do a manual enable, it will be automated. And there is a existing security group for public security group. Select it, continue, and I have this key already, so I'm launching instance. So I'm going to name this instance as a NAT. Oh, okay. So NAT server should not be this image. By mistake, I launched with this. So let me just delete, terminate, because NAT server should be a NAT image. It's my mistake. So launch instance. So I'm going to search, say NAT, go to community, pick up any one of the image, or else you can go with the NAT gateway. Anyway, we have seen yesterday. So I'm going with this T2 micro. Select your data VPC, select public subnet, enable it, and say add storage. Select your public security group. I'm going with the same key. Yes, Sono. It's by mistake. So I just deleted and I launched with the NAT instance. So we will name this as a NAT server from public subnet. So now you remove the filters. So now we have a 3 missions as usual, right? So we will log in as one public jump server. What is the IP address? This is the IP address. So go to mobile extreme, go session, say SSH, and they specify username is EC2-user, and select the private key CNL new, and say OK. So I'm switching as a root. So from here, if we want to log in, first we need a key. So vi test, or you can say cnl same name .pom. Okay, and go here. So open your key in Notepad++ or Edit++. Don't open in Notepad or WordPad because there is a lot of character errors. So better open with Notepad++ or edit plus plus or equivalent to binary editors. So editors should support binary. So copy this and go back to Movac stream. I'm going with the insert mode and paste it. And I'm saving this file. So give the permission, change mode 600 CNL new. So now we are good to go. Say SSH-I. Where is this file? CNL. Using this key file, okay, EC2-user at what is the private application server IP address? Something 10.0.2.7. It picked up from that VLAN. So give this IP address, enter. So yes, I want to log in. So now we are in the private machine application server, ping yahoo.com. So now what we are going to do is, we are going for VPC, we are going for route table, we are going to change the routing, edit routes. So we will delete this. Where is the instance? Because here we haven't go with NAT gateway. Similar NAT gateway functionality, we are going with NAT server. Say save route. Still the ping is not working. So what we need to do is enable it. Right click, go to networking and say this one. So now it's not enabled. So we are enabling it. See, it started. So now go back to the PPT. I am going for the first scenario. So as per this scenario, we created one jump server and we created one natting server. We created one application server. So these two servers are in one VLAN. This will be in, this is in another VLAN, right? Yeah, you need to enable. So it will trigger, it will enable the actual natting. So if you are good in Linux, there is a parameter. So application server, you are able to log in from here, from jump server to this server. But this server want to access internet. So you are rerouting via this. So yesterday we also seen we have created NAT gateway, and we changed the routing table. Instead of towards instance, we changed it towards NAT gateway. Still it will work, right? So now what if the other scenarios? Go here, I'll show you this scenario. So in this scenario, you have another VLAN. See here, there is another VLAN. You can call it as another subnet. So this subnet, whatever servers you are launching, these servers also have to have internet visibility, right? How do you do that? So we will go and first create the subnet, and then you are going to answer me in the chat. So I'm going to say VPC. We will clear this out. So I'm going to say subnets. So now you need to tell me in chat what is the possibility. So I'm just creating another subnet. I'm selecting my data VPC, right? So this is going to be a private subnet second. So what is the range? We can pick it up. Open this Excel sheet. This is VLAN 3. What is the range? The next range 10.0.3.0/24. What is the range? 10.0.3.0, sorry, 3.3.1 to 10.0.3.254, right? This is going to be a private subnet 1. This is going to be private subnet 2. So both need internet. So like this, you open a Excel sheet and draw so that it will be easy for you to understand what exactly you are doing. So need internet. So now in this scenario, we just going to create. What is the range? 10.0.3.0. So go back to your VPC and select one of the availability zone, either the 2B or 2C. So I am selecting 2C, 10.0.3.0/24. Come down, say create subnet, wait for it. So once it's created, now go to routing table. You tell me, do we need to create new routing table or how we can enable? Basically, the idea is here. Go back to the PPT. Right now, we have, say, this VLAN already we created. This VLAN also already created. I mean the subnets, the public subnet and private subnet 1. So we just created this VLAN, this subnet, right? So now I am going to create one machine in this VLAN. Now you tell me, how do you plan for routing? Either you can create a new, or how you can plan for it. Take 2 or 3 seconds. If you know, you can answer in the chat. Yes. So no. Yes, you are correct. So you no need to create. Even if you create also, it's really doesn't make any sense, because go back to route table. Already, this also one of the question I used to prefer for L1, L2 interviews. They are really so that shows whether they studied just exam point of view or just interview point of view. So go to Subnet Association. See this private subnet, already we have created one routing table and we have route towards the NAT server or NAT gateway. So we have enabled the internet. So even if you get the similar requirement tomorrow for the same, you can create 100 subnets, all you can point to the same. You already pointed. All you need to do is, in the same route table, you associate the necessary VLAN, necessary subnets. That's it. So go to route table, edit subnet association. Yes, yes. So go here and say private, save. So if I go and create one more instance in newly created private subnet, I'm going to create it. Maybe you can say this is a database server subnet. All database server, you can place it in here. So I'm just selecting the T2 micro and select your VPC, select private subnet. Private subnet doesn't need public IP. So add storage, and I'm selecting the normal disk, say add tags, say add security group. Already you can have the private security group, because you clearly mentioned all traffic should come from only the public, but you can go with the specific traffic, say HTTP or whatever traffic you want. So review launch, next, and say launch, and I'm selecting the same key, and we will name this server as private subnet 2, maybe database server. So you can name it as private, right, subnet 2 DB 10.0.3. So that by seeing this name, you will understand this is from a different subnet. So let's wait for 2 fully up and running. So let's wait. So we can go here, we can come out, because I'm going to be, now we are in jump server, right? So from here, again, we will log in to the newly created server, which is located in other VLAN or other subnet, right? Let's wait. The status should be up and running fully. It will take another few seconds, because without understanding these 4 scenarios, it doesn't make any sense to design or to plan. Because the reason I always highlight all these 4 scenarios is, if you are going with cross region pairing or cross region replication, then there are some human errors, right? So you create the same VPC range in one of the region, you also create the same 10.0.0.0/16 in another region also, then pairing is really not possible, because we are using the Terraform script or Ansible script, right? The same script, you just change the region and execute it. So people are missing to change at least VPC subnets, VPC network. Let's wait for it, because I faced many times using Terraform scripts, forget to change network, but it will work. You can implement, you can create, but when it comes into pairing, then the both subnet, both network range should be different. So every time, even though it's automation, you need to ensure the network range is different across regions, so that today you don't have that requirement for cross region replication. But tomorrow, if you get that situation, then you should not end up with a single point of bottleneck failure. So always your solution should be, or your planning should be, what if tomorrow you need to have that situation? So you need to be ready, because this is a production, right? So you cannot roll back. So I'm just refreshing it. It's taking a little bit time. Maybe the streaming, during the streaming, all are very slow, but normally it is very fast. I don't know why. Yes. So the 2x2 checks passed. What is the IP address? 10 dot. Oh, we have selected the same private subnet 1. Oh, sorry. So I'm just going to, sorry. We have, I have selected the private, but I haven't forgot to select the newly created private subnet. So I'm just going to launch instance. I'll show you what mistake I did. Select. This happens whenever these many issues, if you face during your learning, then I think hands-on will be really good. So go to data VPC. See, by default, it is selected the first private subnet which we created, but we should have selected the private subnet 2. So now I selected correctly. Add storage, going with the normal disk, and say security group, and existing security group, private, review launch it. I'm going with, because CNL new key I have, even we have saved it in the our jump server. So let's take this name, the same name we can give it in here. So I will remove this name. And yesterday there was one person raised a query, there is a historic data. Whenever the person resigns, how do we retrieve from S3 bucket? So I will set up some lab. I'll show you maybe in one of the class early next week. So in the meantime, I'll show you the pairing part. So pairing connections. So either you need to decide according to your thing. Say for example, this is my jump server, right? So this is my subnet 1. Say I have a web servers. This is all web servers are configured in this subnet. So the both in one VPC. Say for example, this is Ogio region. Now you want to secure some of the database server. You want to secure some of the penetration servers. So you are taking one more region, say Ireland region. In that region, you created another VPC, right? In that VPC, you create one subnet. It's a private subnet which doesn't have any internet exposure. But this web server, whenever any request comes, it has to talk to your application server or database server using the private IP, not through public IP, right? So what you need to do is, this is one VPC located in Ogio region, this one VPC located in Ireland region. So make the pairing part. But the one challenge you need to always careful is what VPC network, say for example 10.0.0.0/16, right? If you are using Terraform or some other automation, CloudFormation or whatever, make sure this network range always different in each provisioning, right? So here it should be something like 20.0.0.0/16. So then only the pairing will be very easy, right? You should not go with the same network range, because that is exactly will happen. Since we are started talking about all automation, the same script you can implement here also, it will work. But tomorrow when end up with this scenario, you will face a lot of issues. So exactly we will see this, and you will understand very clearly on the routing part, and even the why we need a actual VPC scenarios. So let's go back to the EC2 instance and refresh it. These are all you can do it in your free tier account itself, AWS account. Because by next month, before next month end, almost I finished all this level 1, level 2, so that I can slowly start all the solutioning, how to design part. We will take one architecture completely, we will review, and I will explain one by one, so that you will have a more clarity around the actual architectures, because that is the exact need. If you go on project, I know EC2, I know S3 bucket, all these services, that doesn't make any sense when you grow as a senior. Okay, so 2/2 checks passed. So what is this IP address? See, the newly created VLAN 10.0.3.0, that range is taken from that range. So this is the IP. So go back to your jump server SSH-I, right? CNL, this is the key, EC2-user at, what is the IP address? Go here and yes, and from here I can go and reach. It will reach because we have associated to the existing route which is already pointing to the NAT, right? See, I will just clear the screen so that people will be have a clear visibility. See, whenever you go to any project, even just forget about the cloud project, how you are accessing your client servers from your Chennai or Bangalore. Say, for example, you are in Chennai. This is your laptop, right? So from your laptop, say, for example, your client is a US client, right? So your project having say 100 servers, okay? From your laptop, opening a putty, are you connecting directly? I don't think so. If that is the case, that project doesn't have any proper security, proper connectivity. Or your project network, say for example, you are sitting in Chennai office. So that Chennai office network and client office network have a dedicated private link. Yes, that is possible. But normally, people will not expose anything to the outside their region. So either they will go with the Citrix also kind of a jump server, right? Or Bastion host. So you need to first log in one server. From this server, they have enabled all server access. You cannot access from your laptop directly to any of the server, right? So this is the very critical piece. If you go with the Citrix, then instead of this, they will publish the necessary service application alone. Putty means putty, RDP means RDP. That services they will publish, but still the same concept. So if you go with the jump server, this is the easiest way you can have all security in more controlled manner. And NAT server means, let me just clear it out. Say for example, you are sitting in Chennai. So like this, in Chennai, there will be a 10,000 employees they are sitting, right? So when you want to access internet, right? If you go to your browser, go to your machine, go to your command prompt, type ipconfig. You will see a one IP, say maybe 192 or 172, some range in your laptop or your desktop, right? Go to your browser, type what is ip.com, what is my IP address.com, right? So there will be a, even you can check this now itself, your wireless router, your home broadband, right? So there will be a different IP they will show you. What is this IP address? Means whenever I want to go out, I need a public, right? So I cannot provide or I cannot assign 10,000 public address to all 10,000 users, right? Whenever the traffic goes out, I will assign all this network, go and NAT it and go here. So normally the NAT server will have a two interface, two network card. One will be connected to the local network visibility. One will be connected to internet visibility, right? So here I will put all the rule, which network go out, which network should not go out. So I'm just going here. So the internet is working. Now we will go back to the fourth scenario. So we have seen this is our jump server, this is our NAT gateway or NAT instance, right? So this is application server 1, this is application server 2. The requirement is this server, all these server in this VLAN should access internet, all these server in this VLAN should access internet. But I have another subnet, no servers in this subnet should access internet. Then what shall I do? So what is the easiest way I can achieve this? People used to call it as secure network or demilitarized zone. So people used to access secure network or demilitarized zone. So we are going to achieve this scenario now. What we can do is, you go back to your VPC, right? Your VPC, and go back to subnets. And before that, to make it more understanding, go back to your Excel sheet. Always do like this. You open Excel sheet, you do all your understanding here, then open every time your AWS console and do the hands-on, so that you exactly know what kind of a scenario you are going to achieve. So now we are going to create another VLAN, another subnet, right? What is the next one? 10.0.4.0/24, right? What is this IP range? 10.0.4.1 to 10.0.4.254, right? This is going to be private 3 subnet and should not access internet, because it's a very restricted application or some re-engineering before announcement. You want to keep it very secure, right? So we are going to create the same, create subnet. Okay, select your data VPC, right? So here say private subnet, you can say private subnet for demilitarized zone or restricted network. You can name it as anything you want. So associate to one availability zone and give 10.0.4.0/24. So now you tell me in the chat, how do you enable or how do you plan routing for this subnet? Any clue? I want to restrict the internet, right? How do you plan for routing for this subnet? Can you share your views in chat? Demilitarized zone, because demilitarized zone means it's a secure. You want to isolate from all visibility. Say for example internet, for example with other networks. So this VLAN should not have any contact with any other networks or outside world, right? It's a very secure subnet. So people used to say demilitarized zone. Yes. So we need to create a new one, but my question is, how do you plan for it? No. We no need to create. See, why we need a NAT server? When you want to go out in a different route, you need a NAT server, right? So here we are talking about, yes, correct. So I will create a routing table. We will create another routing table. So name it as say private, say 4.0 or private say secure. It's up to you. Secure route, right? So VPC is our VPC. Say create, and you need to go here and Subnet Association. You need to associate your newly created 4.0 network. See here, 4.0 network. Say save and go to your routes, right? Edit routes, redirected to your internet gateway. So here, save routes. So now you can log in from jump server, but let's test it. Launch instance and assume this is going to be a secure server. So you can have web server, you can have database server, you can have application server, everything you create in this subnet and for all testing. So select it. There is another way. If you want to access that particular time, you can enable it. So we will discuss all this during the migration training from November. So t2.micro. I'm selecting my own VPC and the private subnet for DMZ. This is the subnet we have created just now for secure purpose. Select it, add storage, and select the normal disk, add tags, and say security group. For this security group also, our expectation is going to be the same. Administrator should log in to jump server. From jump server can reach out, but not any other networks, right? So private review launch, select it, say launch. I'm going to use the same key, launch instance. So this we are going to say, name it as some meaningful. I would say private secure app server, right? Private secure app server 1 or whatever. So let's wait for 2 bar 2 fully up and running. Let's wait 2 bar 2. Let's wait for 2 bar 2 fully up and running. Let's wait for a few more seconds. So like this only you can plan. So even if you don't understand this subnetting, I explained jodis.de, or you go to google.com, search online space subnet space calculator, right? You will get a lot of link. The jodis.de website is really handy. You can just put this, you will get all the possible subnets. Yeah, see, you don't want to reroute to the internet, right? So whenever there is a restriction, right, you can add. But I will explain during the pairing how and what all specific route we can add. Because now if I explain, people will really confuse. Because during pairing, you want to allow only specific VLAN to specific VLAN to communicate. So you will have a better clarity. So right now, I just simply rerouted back to gateway, which is going to drop. There is no visibility. Yeah, it's allowed to connect, but the reverse traffic, we are just passing to internet gateway. not to the 10.0.1. Let's wait. Instance. I think it got up and running. Okay, so if you check the IP address 10.0.4.0, 4.40, so it's taken from that range. So come back to your jump server. So here SSH hyphen I cnl new.pom, right, and say ec2 hyphen user at the IP address which we received from the new subnet. Say yes, and I have logged in, and we can say internet visibility. Oh, so ping google.com. So this is the way you plan. So first scenario, you create a front end subnet, right? You create your backend VLANs. Say this is going to be a web server, the similar one going to be a application server, the similar one going to be a database server. So all these three server subnet networks, right, want to access the internet. I would prefer to go with NAT gateway, not instance, right? But I am showing you both, right? So, but there is another kind of a requirement also you will get. You should restrict all the internet visibility, right? So you can have more security group rules also during the penetration. In a later point I can explain, but now as a start with, you understand this. So you come to jump server, from jump server. Anyway, we have put a security group that from this network range, this network range we have allowed, right? So this we are not routing back towards the NAT or NAT gateway, right? So you can send back to here. The packets will not have any visibility on the internet, right? So this 4 scenario, if you practice, then VPC pairing will be really easy to understand. Let me just quickly go the other slides. This we have discussed. VLAN, what is layer 2, what is layer 3. Within network, if communicating, then it's a layer 2. Across networks, if it is communicating, then it's a layer 3. There is a question. How AWS is creating thousands and thousands of this many VPs in subnet, what technology they used. Okay, after November, I'm going to start OpenShift and OpenStack, right? This is at least you need to have some idea or some understanding on the networking part, especially one private cloud. So those who are really looking for in-depth, then I always prefer past so many years, go with one public cloud, go with one private cloud, so that you know exactly in the backend. Because public cloud, most of the backend scenarios you have to imagine, but rather you go one private cloud, because you need to implement everything in the private cloud. You need to create, you need to have the required resources in the backend. So basically, they use 3 mechanism. Probably I'll explain if you want in quickly. Can you submit this question in today comment section? Be good, RK, so that I will give you some example. I will explain. Okay, so if you have a time, practice this so that I can explain the pairing tomorrow. Then you will have all dots connected. We'll meet tomorrow the same time. I will send you the tomorrow link in the, as usual, Telegram group. Thanks, everyone.